It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Throws, ends up, yes! Caught! Touchdown! They did it!
Good afternoon, everybody. It's game day. Utah State Aggies taking on San Jose State Spartans. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker. We'll continue to get you ready for the game. We'll talk about a few other things going on, but love to have you along for the ride if you want. But by the way, we were able to find a home for some of our tickets that were unable to get used from last night. Congratulations to 2787 getting the tickets for tonight.
Yeah, for date night, apparently.
Date night,
so
yes.
Tell your date we said hi from the Full Court Press.
That's right. We expect a report. How the date goes.
How it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, so, hopefully it's a good crowd, right? There's not going to be rain. Dress warm and bring some gloves. But, be there. Be loud. Having a good home crowd will make a difference tonight because these two teams are pretty evenly matched in a lot of different ways. So having a good crowd will make a difference for Utah State. Aggies have been undefeated at home. See if they can continue that tonight with kickoff at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, they won the last 5 games at home. That dates back to last season. They're 3-0 this year. So, yeah, keep it up. And the Aggies have played well at home. Mind you, they've not played like the most fantastic caliber of opponents, but they've played better at home, especially on defense. So looking to play well, I mean, on both sides of the ball, but especially better on defense. Excuse me. But shifting into our topics for this hour and starting off with one of the things Eric teased before we went to break, and that is, you walked over my desk and put this article from John Wilner on my desk, and kind of it's about the lawsuit between the Pac-12 and the Mountain West, the whole poaching penalties and yada, yada, yada. And the interesting thing that was brought up, it's basically kind of one key factor that kind of makes this article where it has a bit of insight. It's not like it's a new thing, but it's kind of analyzing deeper. You see some key aspect to this.
Right, because there's not been a new development as far as, well, now they're talking about settlement or this action by the judge means it moves in favor of this entity versus that entity. There's really nothing new since the judge agreed that the motion to dismiss was dismissed, and that there is merit enough for these legal proceedings to continue. So there really hasn't been anything new in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're just about I guess 2.5 weeks. I guess I think he said 16 days. It was published yesterday, so 17 days now since that motion to dismiss was denied. And the key factor in all of this is it's weighing, like there's a discussion of like which, conference maybe has the ability to, be in this for the long haul. Is there one league that has more leverage? That, because that's the almighty word, leverage. Knicks fans claim they had it. Other fan bases have claimed they have it, or other conferences claim they have it. And so the thing is, like, which of these conferences is better set up to be willing to just go at this lawsuit as long as possible? Be it weeks, months, years. Can you drag this out for years? I don't know if you can drag out a lawsuit that long. That's a lot of billable hours. But like the key point of this was that the Mountain West, according to their membership agreement, they're supposed to distribute $60 million to the remaining schools, and there's a timeline established to that. Because, like, they made all those promises, all those bribes and different things like that. But there's a timeline for they're supposed to start distributing that money. Now, maybe they can, like, say, hey, look, we're going to be a bit late. But by July, UNLV, Air Force, the flagship schools, they're looking for this money. And they're going to be expecting it. UNLV, they really want, they need that money. They're deep in the red. They need some of this money to help get them out of that, to help maintain the progress they're trying to make, especially with their football program. Can they even pay their head coach? So, they're trying to get that worked out. But the Mountain West may not, they're not going to get $60 million from the Pac-12 by July 1st. I doubt that's going to happen because they may not advance very much, if at all, in this lawsuit until July or beyond that. So that day is going to come and go. And the Mountain West, even if they win, they're not going to have that $60 million by then. So what does that do?
Well, it's not from the Pac-12.
Yeah, not from the Pac-12.
Or the leaving Mountain West schools.
Well, the Mountain West, their net or their gross revenue last year was $90 million. So I don't think they're coming up with $60 million out of nowhere.
Right.
So can they fend off, all the creditors they now have within their own membership? Will that make UNLV, Air Force, will that unsettle them? Because they're the two schools that you think can bolt somewhere. The Air Force could likely find a home in the American. I don't think they are super eager to go there. I think we asked one of the Air Force beat reporters that, and Air Force is fine in the Mountain West. And it works a little bit better geographically speaking. But UNLV, do they end up regretting the decision to stay with the Mountain West? They took the money, they took some of the stability. The Mountain West offered a bit more stability and more money than the guaranteed money the Pac-12 did. But if that supposedly guaranteed money isn't forthcoming, does UNLV start trying to back out of agreements? Now, they've signed on the dotted line a whole bunch of other things. But do they try to do some legal maneuvering to get out of those agreements that they made on the premise of, a broken contract, essentially? You promised this, you didn't give that to me, so I don't have to uphold my end of the bargain.
Yeah, that's true. And, this getting to the report here from John Wilner, a source is talking to him about these legal proceedings. And the quote is, "There is no way this will be over by next summer unless there's a settlement." And then another comment from his source, it basically saying the Mountain West needs to start making plans around the reality of the timing. To get the $55 million, they have to win the case. Then the Pac-12 appeals, which could take a year, and then they have to win final judgment. It's challenging. So you're right. This whole thing about the timeline here, the Pac-12, it's been spending some money, but it still has a significant war chest that it's sitting on. So now that they're at 8 full members for football, time is on their side. They can drag this thing out. There's no motivation for the Pac-12 to accelerate this decision. They can drag their feet. They can appeal. They can extend. They're in a much better position financially, and we can argue if they're a better position legally or not. But they're in a much better position to draw this thing out, which continues to put pressure on the Mountain West to make a deal.
Yeah, and you wish the Pac-12 would have been smarter and put the pressure on the Mountain West better than having to have this drawn-out legal battle, because they could have done that a little bit better when they initially tried to kick the door down on the Mountain West, and they pulled 4 teams. You could have also pulled UNLV and Utah State at the same time.
Right.
I think they could have gone about that way better than they did. But in the end, the Pac-12 has found itself in a position of enough stability and enough strength that they're going to be fine. And now it's the Mountain West that's kind of sweating it a little bit. Because, a lot of their survival is based on, I think, keeping UNLV and Air Force around, because those are your flagship school, especially in football, where they've proved to be Air Force is kind of slipping now in football. So, how are things going to go for them in the future? Is UNLV going to be able to maintain its ascendancy in the Mountain West? And of course, Dan Mullen's name has been tossed around every single head coach opening in the power conferences the last couple of weeks. So are they going to be able to keep him around? Of course, if somebody buys them out, I guess that's some windfall of cash that they might be able to get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, the and the Mountain West isn't like on the verge of collapse, but like their relevancy as a group of five, it's already taken a massive hit. They're already going to be roughly on par with conferences like the MAC and Conference USA. But if they take one more blow, if Air Force, UNLV leave, then suddenly they're on life support. I think they would maybe still survive, but it would be tricky. They might only just lose UNLV, but there's also an assumption that UNLV would want to leave for somewhere like the Pac-12. Because I know UNLV, they have delusions of grandeur about the Big 12, though the Big 12 is never going to come calling. So
they'd have to have a lot more things happen.
Well, I mean, Memphis, who was in a way better spot than UNLV, offered. I mean, it wasn't like
it was a weird offer, but $200 million.
Yeah, something like $200 million. It wasn't like cash. It was like
promised advertising
and different things like that. I know they've got FedEx behind them. They got a lot of money there. But yeah, it's just it's kind of, if you're trying to figure out like how much pressure does this put on the Mountain West, because they can probably talk their way through, like, you know, hey, just wait for the money, we'll get it, we promise, just make sure we help us win this case as best you can. But like, haven't helped the Mountain West if they lose the case and get nothing. Like, if they settle, that's already kind of bad enough, because they're not going to get nearly enough money to cover all their promises.
Pennies on the dollar.
But if they lose the case straight up, which I can't offer any reliable analysis on whether the Pac-12 can actually win their case, but I think the biggest thing in the favor of the Pac-12 is a settlement. They can offer a settlement that's far better than just losing it outright, and it would still end up being a win for the Pac-12.
And from what I understand, the reports from this summer was that there were settlement discussions, there was mediation that was going on, and the Pac-12 said, look, this is what we're willing to do. And the Mountain West just looked down their noses at them like, how dare you insult me with such an offer? And now we're almost getting to the point where, you know what, maybe the Pac-12 just sticks to their guns and says, this is what we're willing to pay.
Yeah, and it was
to settle this and go away.
Yeah.
And the Mountain West may have to crawl back to them on their hands and knees begging to get that kind of deal. The Pac-12 may decide, you know what, since you treated us so poorly, it's you're not going to get that same offer anymore.
Maybe they can start playing hardball, because I think the Pac-12's offer was essentially the equivalent of paying the exit fees, just kind of straight up. I think it was a little less than that, but I think it was roughly the equivalent of what the exit fee normally would have. I think it was around 10 to 12 million per school or something like that, where I think the normal fee would have been like 15 or 16 million or something like that. So it was like slightly less than typical pay the exit fee for each school. And the Mountain West, like, they were pay everything. That's our offer and settlement. And so that's obviously, they were miles away, but it is looking more and more like the Mountain West probably won't be getting the full amount. I would say they probably won't. But if they do get the full amount, we're going to be talking like 2027, 2028. When the Pac-12 was finally forced to pay out. If that happens, and like, can these schools that are, they were promised a lot of money, can they be kind of placated? And for 3 years, is UNLV going to wait on $20 million that they're not sure they're even going to get? Can they wait 3 years for that?
Right. Yeah. Because these legal proceedings, they can take a long time.
Yeah, the shortest,
especially when you deal with decisions, appeals, follow-ups.
Yeah,
these things can really drag on if you want them to. And the Pac-12, there's no motivation for them to move this along, other than the amounting legal fees. Like, if we don't have to continue to pay these legal fees, let's get rid of them.
Yeah, that's where the Pac-12.
But as far as winning our case and not have to fork over so many extra millions of dollars that we can keep, well, we can wait this out. We are in a better financial position than the Mountain West is.
Yeah, the ability to avoid legal fees and just kind of get this over and done with, that's the incentive for the Pac-12 to settle, where they're willing to pay some money per school and all that. But the Mountain West, they are entirely dependent on winning the case outright. Whereas the Pac-12, if the Mountain West wins it, like that sucks for the Pac-12, but that's a lot of money lost, and that definitely hurts. But like, it's not catastrophic. It doesn't kill the Pac-12. If the Mountain West lost outright, yeah, that'd come close to killing the conference.
Yeah, so
at least with the fallout that would happen afterward if some of the schools try to bolt over not getting what was promised.
Yeah,
so there's a bit of an assumption there.
Yeah, and so the question is, if the Mountain West, like in July, can't make the payment that they promised to these schools, can that trigger a breach of contract for UNLV to say, you know what, you guys told us that you were going to give this big pile of money, and you didn't do it. We see what the Pac-12 is doing, and we're not so sure we want to stay here anymore. We're going to tear that thing up, and we're going to head to the Pac-12 instead. Yeah. So I think that's a very real possibility. Now, again, I don't know fully their legal standing and being able to pull that off, but that sure seems like an actionable breach of contract that UNLV could exploit to get them out of the Mountain West and into the Pac-12.
Yeah, and I don't know if they'll be as impatient to on July 2nd, start trying to push back against that, but it just depends on what the feeling like is with UNLV and if there's an appetite to go join the Pac-12. But the thing is like, even if UNLV doesn't have like the greatest legal case, or just depending on the legal standing, it doesn't matter if the legal standing is good or bad. If they start pushing against the Pac-12 and start launching legal battles, well, that's just another front that the Mountain West has to be fighting against. And they might end up winning on both counts. They could end up winning whatever legal battle they might have against UNLV if the rebels start, rebelling, so to speak. Or if Air Force does the same, like they might be able to win those again because there's, signed on the dotted line. And even if there's maybe some breach of contract, they can say, outside circumstances drove us to not be able to fulfill that right away. But still, if the legal battles begin mounting up, that it puts more and more pressure on the Pac-12 to just settle it and get it over with. And that would be taking a pretty big L for them, and it would put into question the future of the conference. They may or may not survive in that case. So we'll just see how impatient UNLV and Air Force are as far as getting that money.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting story from John Wilner, and it's, probably about anybody could have written this, but what makes it interesting is that he does have a source that's familiar with the situation, who is involved in the situation. So that's what kind of adds some credibility to just, the Pac-12 is not motivated to move this along. So interesting piece there from John Wilner yesterday on the San Jose Mercury News. Got to take a time out here in the Full Court Press. When we come back, we got some breaking news, Jason. The availability report is now available for tonight's football game.
I saw that. I saw it at the beginning of the hour.
So we'll update you on what it says or what it doesn't say next on the Full Court Press.
Hi, this is Brooke Stevenson.
Ty Smith.
And David Castor with Adams Wealth Advisors. We're truly honored to be named Best of Northern Utah Gold winner for the Best Financial Planner. This community means everything to us, and we're grateful for every customer who made this possible. Thank you for your trust.
Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com.
It's cold outside, but you can keep warm inside with a quality-built, super-efficient York furnace. Count on a furnace from York because it's backed by the strongest warranties available. Call Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, your local York dealer, at 752-7272. Online at advancedheating-ac.com.
We're not comfortable until you are. Advanced Heating and Air.
Looking for a luxurious local space to host your next gathering? The Hive Event Center in downtown Logan brings modern elegance to your wedding, private party, or business event. Your guests will be amazed at the glamorous design, and you'll benefit from the advanced tech included in every rental, from DIY parties to full-service packages. 255 South Main in Logan behind Beehive Grill. Luxury lives here. The Hive is your place to gather.
Luxury lives here. Luxury lives here. The Hive.
See us online at thehivelogan.com.
Old McDarrell has a farm, an appliance farm.
With down-home country prices and big city selection.
E-I-E-I-O. When you're looking for a friendly spot to drive a little and save a lot, hey, Old McDarrell has a farm, an appliance farm. Darrell's Appliance. Low overhead, but lots of country charm. See Darrell's Appliance in beautiful downtown Benson.
You can feel it in the air. Mornings are cooler. Leaves have changed and are falling. And your fall recipes are calling. The Old Grist Mill has you covered. Crisp fall mornings, football games, or family gatherings. You're guaranteed to love the one-of-a-kind breads like zucchini, pumpkin chocolate chip, and pumpkin spice. Muffins for every taste. Apple, cranberry, almond, blueberry, and more. Plus that famous lunch special. Fresh baked bread piled high with your favorite meats and veggies, cookie, chips, and a drink. The Old Grist Mill, now in South Logan, Logan and Smithfield. The Old Grist Mill, here for you.
It's the Full Court Press, weekday afternoons from 4 to 6 on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
At Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning, now is a great time to feel the love and the savings. With current tax credits and government rebates, you save up to 40 and 50% on new heating and cooling systems. Call now. Rebates end this year. 435-557-4181. So get on their schedule, get to take advantage of those rebates and end of your savings. 435-557-4181. So, Jason, we've got some breaking news. The availability report for Utah State and San Jose State is out. It's been updated with just a few hours before kickoff.
Yes, they updated it about 4, or let's see, it says update as of 4 p.m. I think it came out around 4:30, 4:40. But yeah, a couple of updates, a couple of non-updates. So 2 Aggies that were listed as questionable, they are both out. Will Holmes, DeAndre Barnes. So you lose a couple key pieces of your defense, which can't afford to be losing guys on defense. But
yeah, the secondary is already a little bit thin, and it just got more thin.
You're worried about your pass rush as well, as the Aggies have struggled to get to the quarterback, and Will Holmes has been one of the guys that's kind of done that a little bit this year. So probably be looking a little more at Chris Joe to potentially make an impact there in place of Will Holmes. And we'll see how the addition of Ike Larson to the secondary helps mitigate some of losing DeAndre Barnes. You probably see Noah Avenger playing corner full-time as opposed to where he's played safety the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Although that's what he was. Like, he was preseason a corner, then he moved to safety during the season, and now kind of going back to corner as there's more safeties. But, yeah, and then on the San Jose side, that's where there are non-updates. Danny Scudero, Walker Eget, still listed as questionable. I don't think they updated it in the slightest. They probably just submitted the same thing.
Well, I don't remember Fili Tofua.
He was listed as questionable.
Was he listed as questionable before? Because he's a really dynamic defensive end. He's got like 4 sacks on the season so far. But
I think Matahola, I think he was listed as questionable. I think they had 4 guys listed as questionable. They only have 3 now. And I think it was...
So Hola is listed as out.
Yeah, I think it was him. I'm not 100% sure, though. It might have been that or John Norwood. Now I'm not sure if I can go back and find the old page before this latest update. I don't know if they have it somewhere on there.
Do they keep the they don't keep the initial report.
Yeah,
they just update it.
I don't think they keep that initial one. So there's the latest injury update. A couple of Aggies confirmed is out. And San Jose, the 2 guys we're paying attention to, still looking like they are game time decisions, with game time being an hour and a half out.
Yes, we continue to get closer. And still a chance, if you want to weigh in, your thoughts about the game, just a few hours away from kickoff, starting at 7 o'clock on Merlin Olsen Field. But let's look at the other games going on. I already mentioned the Utah State Aggies taking on San Jose. It's homecoming for the Aggies, and hoping for a good crowd tonight. Expected to see a larger crowd than we've seen the last few, which would be awesome. But let's hope that crowd makes a difference, because it certainly will matter in a game that could be pretty close. So having a good crowd can make a difference in games like that. But the rest of the Mountain West schedule, this is a standalone Mountain West game tonight. But on Saturday, we've got 2 games happening at the same time on 2 different national networks. Wyoming is at Air Force on CBS Sports Network at 1:30. And then UNLV is at Boise State, also at 1:30 on FS1. The biggest surprise for me is Boise State by 12.5.
Yeah, Vegas might be subscribing to the UNLV is the worst 6-0 team ever club. Although what I said earlier online, I definitely feel it to a certain degree, because I like to root for chaos, Eric.
Yes.
And even though I have firmly planted my flag in the UNLV is a fraud camp, there is a not insignificant part of me that wants to see UNLV win just for the chaos. Just to be like, and mind you, that would implicate me. I'd become the loser there, the freezing cold takes guy, the guy with the cold take. But I think it would just be kind of funny to see that. Mind you, there would be a lot of UNLV fans whose heads would be so big they'd start floating away.
Yeah, that's very true.
But it would also deflate some of the Boise State fans, which I don't know whether that's a good thing or not. Sometimes they're arrogant, sometimes they're cool people, like most fan bases.
Well, apparently UNLV is they're on their way to Boise, and Dan Mullen taking to his own Twitter account to say 0.0 interest in Arkansas. Thanks for the shout out, though. Y'all need to hire Gus Malzahn.
Yeah, he's had his name attached to every single P4 coach opening. He's multiple times said not interested, not doing that. And mind you, we've seen that song and dance before. It's like they say, no, I'm not going to go there. And it's like, that's exactly what somebody who is going there would say, that kind of thing. Because Bronco said he was staying in New Mexico. He left.
Yeah.
You go through the Aggie coaches, who, Danny Sprinkle had basically all but signed on the dotted line in Washington and was still saying he was going to stay at Utah State. And it's like, they're going to say that. And no matter how vehemently they deny it, actions speak way louder than words. So, and his actions can't go into effect as far as staying at UNLV until December and January. So, unfortunately for UNLV fans, and fortunately for those who love drama, you get to wait a little while.
Yes. So that could be an interesting showdown. Both teams undefeated in conference play. Puts whoever wins that is going to be in the driver's seat in the pole position, at least for the conference championship.
And for the conference title, and for if the Mountain West, because it's a big if at this point, given how the Americans doing and the teams they have, but an if for the college football playoff, though I say the Americans, specifically South Florida, is kind of running away with it.
Yeah.
Especially with what they did in North Texas last week.
Very true. Then at 5 o'clock, Hawaii is at Colorado State. No national broadcast of that game. Rams favored by 2.5.
Is it going to be on Spectrum Sports somehow? Like, wasn't one of Utah State's home games against Hawaii on Spectrum Sports?
Yes, last year it was.
How?
So maybe. For those who figured out how to get Spectrum on to watch the Aggies last week.
I screencast it from my phone on my dad's TV. That's how I was having to do it.
So this one really surprises me that Hawaii 5-2 is the underdog at 2-4 Colorado State.
Yeah, and I mean, if Colorado State's able to put up a good defensive performance, teams have managed to slow down Alejado. It's not like he's been throwing for 400 yards per game all year. He's capable of going off for that. Was able to do it against the Aggies. If the Rams can put together a good, defensive performance and slow down that passing game.
Well, they were able to get some turnovers last week.
Yeah.
They were able to get some interceptions in their last game.
Yeah, so if they can keep Hawaii to 20, 25 points, which several teams have done that this year, then maybe you can open up some things against Hawaii's defense. But although advanced kind of stats didn't like Hawaii's defense when I was looking at it last week, having seen it, a little more inclined to think that their defense is being underrated at this point.
7:45 for the Mountain West nightcap. It's Nevada at New Mexico. Lobos favored by 13.5. tomorrow.
Yeah, Lobos are 0-2 in Mountain West play. Like they had some, they were 3-1 at one point, gearing up for maybe make some noise in the Mountain West, but suddenly they find themselves, technically in a tie for second to last. Not last because Air Force is 0-4, my goodness. But
yeah, they've played a lot of Mountain West games.
Yeah.
But that's your conference schedule for tomorrow. Other games to keep an eye on throughout the day as Aggies will be done tonight. So you get to enjoy a full Saturday of college football.
Well, unless you're going to be at the exhibition.
Well, that's true. Well, keeping an eye on your phone while you're in the Spectrum.
I might have a football game on my laptop. It depends on what games are happening. I may not be inclined to tune in. Well, I guess UNLV Boise, that'll be on. Because you're 1:30, so maybe.
Yeah, that's true. The Aggie basketball exhibition game starts at 1, and the UNLV Boise State game starts at 1:30.
Yeah, so if you sit behind me on media row or roughly behind me during timeouts, I'll probably be watching UNLV Boise.
There you go. So it's general admission, so strategically place yourself.
Yeah, so normally it's the Herd, which the Herd might still have those spaces reserved. I'm not sure. Because the Herd are able to claim tickets, so I don't know if it's specifically to their section or if anybody can sit anywhere, including in the Herd. I'm not sure how that's going to work. But yeah, see if you can slide your way behind the media row. And you can, or just watch it on your own phone.
Yeah.
Be an adult.
There you go. Yes. Don't mooch off of Jason's data.
Yeah, you can't be doing that.
All right, quick timeout here in the Full Court Press. When we come back, we saw a coach get a massive buyout after getting fired. And then days later, we see another coach getting a massive contract extension. Do these things make sense in the era of trying to build rosters and the money that needs to go to the players? So we'll debate that coming up on the other side of this timeout here on the Full Court Press. Love to hear from you, too. Your thoughts on it. Feel free to chime in, agree or disagree. 435-339-0321.
Hey, this is Jarek with Jarek's Fine Jewelry. This October marks our 17th year anniversary.
So to celebrate, we want to treat you to an anniversary date. Make it a date night on us. Come engagement ring or anniversary ring shopping at Jarek's Fine Jewelry. We have thousands of designs to choose from, including the newest custom designs. With no strings attached and no purchase necessary,
we will buy you dinner at Sweeto Burrito the entire month of October. Come engagement ring or anniversary ring shopping, and date night is on us. Make it special, make it Jarek's.
For 80 years, West Motor Company has been helping Cache Valley drive home in a vehicle they love. And around here, people know Ford and Ram cost less in Preston. Right now, you could save over $10,000 off a brand new Ram heavy-duty Bighorn, or over $12,000 off Dodge Charger RT, and over $5,000 off Jeep Grand Cherokee. Say it with me. Ford and Ram cost less in Preston. Always have, always will. West Motor Company, 80 years strong and still driven to serve you.
Need a great deal near USU? Mention Aggie 79 and score a room at the Baum Hotel for just $79. Enjoy charming, homey hospitality in downtown Logan. You'll love the clean, spacious rooms and friendly, attentive staff. Take advantage of free breakfast, free Wi-Fi, and a seasonal outdoor pool. At that price, it can't be beat. $79 rooms with Aggie 79 at the Baum Hotel. Value every day of the week. Call 435-752-5220. That's 752-5220.
This is Brent Wallace with Cache Valley Bank, and we understand that concerns about fraud can weigh heavily on you. Your peace of mind is important to us. That's why we're committed to looking out for you and your family. Our team keeps a vigilant eye on your account, and if you ever have concerns or need support, we're just a call or visit away. Whether you need advice or just someone to talk to, our friendly staff is ready to help. We're more than just a bank. We're your neighbors, and we care about your security. Visit your local branch today. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interviews. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker, here on 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, streaming on 1069thefan.com and the 1069 The Fan mobile app.
You might also be able to hear my voice over on KVNU right now.
KVNU Game Day is underway. It started at 5 on 102.1 FM, 610 AM. J.D. Walker and Stockton Jukes doing full Utah State pregame coverage right up to kickoff. But we were talking about exhibition. Utah State has their men's basketball exhibition tomorrow at 1:00 in the Spectrum. Hope to have a good crowd there. A lot of other teams are doing exhibition games right now, throughout the Mountain West of note.
Yes, well, there are a few who, as far as I can tell, are not playing exhibition, but there's a few that are happening tonight, actually. 3 that are happening tonight. Boise State, they're going to play Idaho tonight at 7 p.m., and I think that one's actually going to be on TV in Idaho, maybe. Nevada going to be at Utah. As I reported yesterday, Utah State tried to reach out to Utah to schedule a scrimmage or an exhibition. And they said no. They want got JD sneaking in here.
Hey guys, I'm in a commercial break real quick. Love what you guys are doing over here. You guys have a good show.
Okay. Thanks, JD.
You can sneak over, listen to KVNU now or later, whenever you want. They're obviously previewing San Jose. The San Jose game. But yeah, Nevada, they're at Utah tonight at 8 p.m. I don't know if that one's being broadcast anyway. I didn't check there. San Diego State, they're hosting number 12 UCLA. I'm told they had to pay a pretty penny to get UCLA to come there. But I believe they pretty much sold their place out. So I think
they'll recover it.
I think they're recouping the money that they spent to get what's expected to be a good UCLA team, and they'll reunite with Donovan Dent, who they had to play a couple times last year, who's with the Bruins. And that's tonight at 6 p.m. Utah State obviously plays their exhibition tomorrow. Also playing tomorrow, Wyoming. They're going to host Northern Colorado at 4 p.m. And then on Sunday, UNLV will be at Washington as they run into Danny Sprinkle again. Though nobody on that UNLV team will have any clue who Danny Sprinkle is in relation to Sprinkle being in the Mountain West. And then there's a few teams that play later. Grand Canyon actually already played an exhibition. I think they have 2 as well. They played at Baylor. What's supposed to be a pretty decent Baylor team. I've seen some of the rankings in like the top 50, even top 40, I think, in some of these preseason metrics. Grand Canyon lost 79-74 on the road back on October 10th, like a week ago. New Mexico plays at Washington State next week. Colorado State plays at Creighton next week, and San Jose State hosts Cal State East Bay, the powerhouse.
Cal State East Bay. I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Yeah, on October 27th. So there's the other exhibitions happening. So keep an eye on some box scores. You probably can't watch most of these, but if you want to get an idea of how some of these other Mountain West teams are doing, you'll get a pretty good picture, at least this weekend, with a few more insights next weekend.
Let's shift gears a little bit. There's been some interesting things happening with coaching in college football. And, James Franklin, after hitting a 3-game losing streak, they said, this was a team that was at one point competing to be the top team in the land.
Yeah, they were number 2 in the country. Some metrics had them at number 1 in the country preseason.
Looked like a college football playoff team, and then the wheels just started to fall off.
Yeah, the vibes were off. I guess that was it. Mind you, the team was off because they're the first team since 1976, I believe, to lose back-to-back games as a 20-point favorite. At least I'm pretty sure that's what the date was, unless I'm mixing up another stat.
Yeah, it's not pretty there in Happy Valley. So he gets north of $50 million buyout, or about a $50 million buyout.
I think it was $49.
Yeah, close to $50 million. And he's just sitting fat and happy. Now, he may not be that happy because he's lost his job, but he's going to be compensated for it.
$49 million to be unemployed. That is the most lucrative unemployment since, Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, it's one of the most, the highest paid buyouts in college football history. And then just days later, Indiana extends Cignetti for 8 more years, making him among, if not the most highest paid coach in college football. He's going to be earning $11 million a year.
Yeah, it's I think a $93 million total value, in probably to protect him from going to Penn State, I suppose, because that's a very attractive opening. And same thing happened, when James Franklin was at Penn State. They gave him that big extension because he was doing all right.
Wasn't that Sandy Barber who did that?
Yeah, it was. It was Sandy Barber who gave him that contract. I was reading the article about the whole story, and then it said, and Sandy Barber was like, oh, I know that name. She was doing pretty good down here at Utah State, but it wasn't her greatest moment giving Franklin all that money.
Well, at the time, it
seemed like it was
worked
the right
out pretty
move.
well.
They went to weren't they in the championship game last year?
Yeah, they went to the college football playoff.
So, or the semifinal or something like that. But that was, I think the interesting thing, and this is the thing you want to talk about, like, is all this money worth it for these coaches? And I actually had an interesting insight on this kind of earlier today with kind of a sort of related topic with Bill Belichick. I'm going to manage to ring him in here for all the ratings. We're going to talk about Bill Belichick.
Of course.
But the thing that I ended up kind of going down a quick rabbit hole was, Bill Belichick, like his record with Tom Brady, without Tom Brady, and that led me to think of like other great coaches. And it's like, players make coaches far more than coaches make players. And maybe there's kind of a reciprocal relationship there where coaches develop players who then make the coaches look good. But like Andy Reid, he's been good, when he had Donovan McNabb, then he was mediocre with other quarterbacks, and now he's a Hall of Fame head coach with Patrick Mahomes. Bill Belichick was good defensive coordinator, then he was a mediocre head coach, and then he got Tom Brady, and he's one of the greatest coaches ever.
He was helped by some great defenses that
but
Tom Brady happened to be a part of.
But like Bill Belichick built those defenses.
Yes, true.
And just go back through every coach in history, and especially in the NFL, what do they have in common? They all have a Hall of Fame quarterback, typically. Everyone. Even back to Vince Lombardi, he has Bart Starr. And just go through the history of the NFL. And then, with college, it all comes down to how good of a recruiter are you? Your players, your ability to get good players will dictate how good you are in college football. Nick Saban was fantastic at building programs that could bring in the best players, whether he was doing that through paying them under the table and then maybe paying them over the table. Whatever it was, he had the best players more often than not. Hoarding the 4- and 5-star recruits. He goes to the NFL where things are a lot more equal talent-wise, and he was terrible. Bill Belichick, where he was fantastic with, coaching X's and O's, so long as he had some of the players. He faltered a little bit once Tom Brady left, and heck, before he had Tom Brady, but look at the quarterbacks he was coaching there. It's not an impressive list.
Mm-hmm.
But he comes to college and doesn't get the players, doesn't recruit, and what do you know? North Carolina sucks. Because it's about the players and not how much of a genius you are in X's and O's. It is about how good are you with getting the best players. Like it's part of why like the college football playoffs, like they're often boring because one team is just better than everyone else. And they win all their playoff games by 30 points. Now, sometimes they're close, and that's where, at that point, your game planning and adjustments do make an impact. It's not like the coaches have no impact in terms of their game plan and all that. That does play a factor. But if you have the better players, you're just going to win more often than everyone else. And so that brings back to what you were pointing this to. Is it worth, $49 million buyout? Is it worth paying Kurt Signetti $93 million? Or would you, if you have that money, work it into having the best roster that you possibly can, have whatever coach that you can afford at that point, and just make that coach look good. And if they get, too big for their britches, send them on their way and say, well, look, we have the best roster, and whichever solid, you have to have a good coach. But if you have a solid enough coach and you have the best roster around, you're going to be good more often than not. And so like that's, just go find a coach who can recruit well, give him all the money he needs to go get that recruiting done. And, you can have a national contender every year, and you don't have to, and if things falter a little bit and you need to switch coaches, you don't have to pay $50 million that you don't get to use for your roster anymore. If you need to switch coaches, you can cut ties with them pretty quickly. Move on to the next coach who's, again, find yourself a good recruiter, give him the budget he needs, and he can take over. If you gotta change the vibes or whatever, which again, that's the weirdest thing I've heard come out of this is that Penn State wanted to change the vibes.
Yeah.
But like, if you've got to do that, then you don't have to pay $50 million for a coach that you overpaid because you thought he was the god emperor of college football.
The problem is that I see here is that there will still be institutions willing to wave a big bag of money in front of somebody else to come be their head coach. Coaching salaries continue to rise. And if you're a coach and you get offered that money, it's hard to turn that down. I mean, that's generational money. It's going to affect you, your family for generations to come. So it's hard to turn that down. But from an institutional level, like, really, is that the smartest use of that money? Like, can you get a good coach but not overpay? Now, there's still that risk that somebody else will overpay to steal him. But if you're investing that in your roster, because it's so much easier to win games when you have more talented players. Can you win games with, development and good coaching and X's and O's? Yes, you can. That's been proven many times over. But can you win championships? At the end of the day, talent and skill are still going to be such miles ahead of a lot of other things. When you have talent and skill that can be coachable, that's when you got the secret sauce that yields championships.
Yeah. So get yourself the best roster you can, get yourself a good coach, and you can be well on your way. And if you find a coach who is just the best at recruiting, then you're set. Those are your Urban Meyers, your Nick Sabans. Those are the guys that just get the best players and X's and O's after that. Not that those guys are bad at X's and O's, but again, when those two guys went to the NFL, they look like bumbling idiots. Urban Meyer more than Nick Saban. At least Nick Saban had some dignity when he went out in the NFL. Urban Meyer, that was a travesty.
Yeah, that was rough. So anyway, I just the problem is that somebody will still wave that bag in front of somebody.
Yeah. Well, it's like Silicon Valley. There's a rich idiot, somewhere that's gonna just be willing to spend that money. And unfortunately, sometimes rich idiots, boosters, are the ones who get to make the decisions.
And there's going to be some coaches that will look great just because they have a great roster, and they're really not that great. Yeah. They're okay, but they look great because they've got a great roster.
Yeah, but what happens when the next recruiting cycle comes around and they don't have that? They maybe struck gold with that one recruiting cycle, maybe that one Heisman quarterback or fantastic defense. What happens when they lose it? Like Nick Saban, he replaced his 13 NFL players he had per year like clockwork. And, so if, you got to be able to do that. These guys, they get those good rosters, and then everything else takes care of itself. 8968 on the text line saying kind of similar to this. First trick, get a good roster. Second trick, keep it.
And I love it when a really high-paid coach tanks. I know that's a bit of sour grapes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be a wild off-season for coaching because you've got some very high-profile institutions that are looking for new coaches, and that always creates a domino effect. It will probably reach into the Mountain West and into the Pac-12.
We'll see. Do you
Sometimes it doesn't, but usually it does.
I don't think there are any coaches that are gunning to be hired away.
The only one really is Dan Mullen, despite his claims that he's not going anywhere. But
Dan Mullen will be thrown around. He might stick around UNLV one more year, but if he goes undefeated with UNLV, then you might as well kiss him goodbye, I guess, at that point.
Yeah. All right, another timeout here in the Full Court Press. When we come back, we got high school football tonight. I know we've got the Utah State game, but we do have some teams that are playing high school football tonight. We'll update you on who they are and the scores from last night as well. That's coming up next on the Full Court Press.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice. As I visit with people on a regular basis, I see many things we can help with. Recent falls, balance training, knee, shoulder, and hip surgeries, memory loss, housekeeping, help with medications, and that's not all. We at Primrose offer the best care in any situation. A great example of this is our preventative care program. While working with your doctor and using our personal approach, we can help prevent many of these situations. For more explanation, visit primrosecare.com or call me at 787-1369. Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. A few years ago, I saw this sign hanging in a gas station. It said price, quality, service. Pick 2 out of the 3. Now, it's funny, and I did laugh, but at My Mattress, we don't even want to do business unless we can do all 3. Price, quality, and service. We have a 90-day sleep guarantee, 90-day price guarantee, and we will answer the phone if you have a warranty concern. At My Mattress, we deliver, we have financing, we strive to be price, quality, and service every day. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
At Mountain Valley Heating and Air, it's more than just service. They provide top quality installations for both residential and commercial spaces. So you're not just getting equipment, you're getting a whole team of professionals dedicated to making sure you and your family truly feel the love. Whether it's a brand new installation or replacing an old system, trust the experts who care. Feel the love with Mountain Valley Heating and Air. That's mtnvalleyhvac.com.
This Halloween, the Riverwoods dares you to seize the fright.
Join the Riverwoods and Seize the Night Records for the ultimate Halloween dance party. Live music, a killer costume contest,
and enough thrills to wake the dead.
It all happens Saturday, October 25th from 8 to 11 p.m. at the Riverwoods. Come dressed to distress. Must be 18 or older. For discounted tickets, visit SeizeTheNightRecords.com. That's SeizeTheNightRecords.com. Or you can purchase tickets at the door.
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho's home for sports. It's the Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM, The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. We do need to say goodbye to Jason. He's on his way up to the football stadium to watch Utah State take on San Jose. So keep an eye on his social accounts on X. He'll be doing updates. And then, of course, after the game is over, he'll have a full recap on CashValleyDaily.com. And there'll also be photo galleries there. We'll have KVNU Aggie call after the game. So lots of things still to listen to and check in on through the rest of the evening. Also, 8968 on the Young Power Sports of Logan text line. I love it here. I'm not going anywhere. Love Coach Smith as he departed. Love Coach Smith as he departed for SLC. So we there have been coaches who have plenty of them across the college landscape, professional landscape, more so in college, where they keep saying over and over again, they're not going anywhere. They love it here. It's a long-term goal to be here. And then the next day they're on a plane. And I get it. It's like hard. Like there's been very, very, very few coaches who have handled that well. When you're successful and your name is attached, starting to become attached to other vacancies and other positions, it's hard not to, lose focus on what you're doing right now to help, because you're still recruiting, you're still coaching usually, and with the team, maybe you're trying to get them to a postseason, a bowl game, maybe a conference championship, but these guys are in really tough positions. I don't envy them because you still have a job to do, but you still have an opportunity that hopefully your agent is handling most of the work, but you have to have some say if you want to pursue that or not, and have an opportunity to move up and improve your position and your profession. Any one of us would do that. And so how do you handle that with rumors, with your name attached? It's really hard. Matt Wells, I thought, handled that pretty well. When he was here, I don't think he was trying to mislead anybody. He was pretty honest that he takes calls, but he also turns calls down. And ultimately he finally took a call and left and went somewhere else. He did turn down other calls that came his way, but ultimately the right one lined up with what he was doing and wanted to do, and he thought it was the right position for him. Ultimately, it didn't work out. I mean, there are plenty of cases throughout sports where it's obvious the grass is not greener on the other side of the hill, but the money is still green, and the checks still clear the bank. So it's hard to turn some of that down. Meanwhile, last few thoughts here on the Full Court Press this hour. Wanted to give you a quick update on what's going on with high school sports. We had a region game last night, Ridgeline and Bear River. Ridgeline ran away with it, 69-10 for the Riverhawks. They finished the regular season undefeated, but now they just wait to see what happens for the rest of the games happening tonight. Final RPI rankings for high school football will be revealed tomorrow. 3A, 4A, 5A, all of their schedules are done tonight. And so those final RPI will be updated and revealed tomorrow. And then the brackets for the next week's playoffs will be revealed. And speaking of playoffs, those are underway for girls soccer, and a couple of upsets, surprising losses by some really good soccer teams here in Northern Utah. Number 4, Mountain Crest, losing at home against number 5, Park City, 2-0. And number 2, Green Canyon, losing at home to number 7 Desert Hills 2-1. So they're out. The only team from this area still alive is Ridgeline, who happens to be the number 1 overall team in girls soccer. They took care of Mountain View 3-0. So they advanced to the semifinals on October 20th at Zions Bank Stadium. Ridgeline will face Park City at noon. And then at 7:30, it'll be Desert Hills versus Snow Canyon, number 7 versus number 3. So we got a couple of upset teams into the semifinals. That Desert Hills Snow Canyon game, they've rearranged that one to take place at Utah Tech. No sense in making them drive all the way up to the Salt Lake area to play a game when both teams are right there close to home. So smart by UHSAA to make that accommodation. But then the 4A state championship will be on October 24th at America First Field, home of Real Salt Lake. And then also the regular season is coming to an end for high school girls volleyball. And right now in 4A, Green Canyon is number 3 in the RPI. Ridgeline is number 7. Skyview at number 12. Mountain Crest at number 13. We've got a couple other schools from the region that are kind of in the mix there with Stansbury at number 19, Bear River at 21, Tooele at 24. But that's where things currently stand for girls volleyball, as their regular season is coming to an end as well, with their playoffs looming here soon. So best of luck to those high school players as they conclude their regular season, and others for high school football getting ready for their postseason. For our friends in Idaho, most of those schools still have one more week of the regular season before they get into their postseason. So Preston, Westside, Malad, they still have one more week of games. Bear Lake, they're done for their regular season, but we still have games tonight and then one more week for these Idaho schools. But for the schools in Utah, Box Elder, Bear River, Ridgeline. We've got tonight Green Canyon and Mountain Crest. That game is being played in North Logan. There'll be Cody Olson, the coach, John Olson, and Jacob Pitcher on the call for that game. So that'll be on 100.9 Light FM and 107.7. Also video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. So for those who can't make it to the Utah State game but are interested in what's going on with high school football, there is one more Region 11 football game taking place tonight in North Logan with Green Canyon hosting Mountain Crest. Both of those teams pretty close together in the standings. So this is a really important game for both teams. As we mentioned, the regular season ends tonight. Currently, Green Canyon 5-4 overall, Mountain Crest 6-3 overall, right next to each other in the standings in the region standings. So really big implications tonight for these two schools about who gets a little bit more favorable spot in the upcoming playoffs, and which team may have to travel a little bit further, or maybe if a Giants opportunity to host a game in the first round. So a couple different ways to follow that game on a couple different radio stations in our family of radio stations, and of course video streaming on CashValleyDaily.com. So if you're interested, you could go to the Utah State game and check in on the Green Canyon Mountain Crest game on your phone, because it will be video streaming there. So thanks again for tuning in and being part of the show. KVNU Game Day coverage, by the way, on our sister station continues for another hour on 102.1 FM and 610 AM to help you get ready for Utah State and San Jose. And then at 1 o'clock tomorrow, Utah State men's basketball with their exhibition game. Hope to have a good crowd for that one. See this men's basketball team in action for the first time against another opponent. Have a great night, everybody. Tune in. We'll be back at it again here on the Full Court Press on Monday.
The home for Skyview Sports. Sports Talk Radio, KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.